بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. One thing that we need to remember is that this is the month of Ramadan, and the topic that I have chosen to speak about is Ramadan cruise control off. Okay, you're turning off your cruise control. You're turning, when you're driving your car, I'm an automotive technician, right? So I know everything about cars, but I don't fix your cars. When you're driving your car on the highway and you turn off your cruise control, what happens? Your car slows down and you start to come to a stop. And it is only at that point in time when your car stops, or for example, you're driving on the highway and your engine turns off, your car stalls. It is only at that point in time when you start to think everything about your car. Maybe it's the gas, maybe the battery, maybe the alternator's not charging, maybe the spark plugs, maybe the fuel isn't reaching the injectors. What's going on? What happened? And it is only at that moment where you start to think. Before that, you're in cruise control. You're just going, you're enjoying yourself, you're driving, from KL to Malacca, and everything's just fine and dandy and nice and sweet, and you're just going along. But it is only at the moment where you switch off yourself, your internal self, that normal routine that you're used to going across, you turn your routine off and you start to evaluate yourself. Just like you evaluate your car, you evaluate your own self. What are you doing in your life? What are you benefiting from? Are you helping others? Are others helping you? What is the situation in your life? How are you living as a human being, as a Muslim, and especially now during this month of Ramadan? So this is what I have chosen to, share with you. When, we get into the routine of Ramadan, a lot of us, it is all about fasting. It is about coming to the masjid for Taraweeh. It is about waking up for suhoor. And obviously having iftar, which is the most important part of Ramadan, right? Well, that's wrong. But before Ramadan came, what was everybody reminding each other about? It is time to prepare yourself for Ramadan. Prepare for Ramadan. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Half of Ramadan is gone. You prepared yourself before Ramadan. You had 2 weeks to prove yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have you done that? Have you given it all you got? All the things that you prepared yourself for, are you doing those things? Have you achieved the goals that you wanted to achieve or not? And this is what we're going to talk about. It is just a reminder to remind all of us, where are we now? And what can we do to make ourselves better, insha'Allah ta'ala? Are you getting what you wanted to get out of the month of Ramadan? This Ramadan, when it started, you had so many things in your mind that you wanted to do and achieve and accomplish. Now that 2 weeks have passed, are you getting out of Ramadan what you wanted to? Do you feel something in your heart that you wanted to feel before Ramadan came? You're like, Alhamdulillah, Ramadan's coming. Yes, so happy I got to reach another Ramadan, and I'm going to be with my friends and my family and so on and so forth. And we're going to be together, we're going to pray Taraweeh together, we're going to fast together, we will encourage each other. Are you feeling that or not? If you are, Alhamdulillah, there's always room for improvement. If you aren't, it is time to pay attention and turn your cruise control off. This is where you need to be attentive. You need to evaluate yourself and look at what you've done so far during Ramadan. Your car comes to a stop tonight, right here, right now. And now you start to look at yourself. What have you done during this month of Ramadan? I want to ask you a question. Why do you fast? Why is it that we fast during the month of Ramadan? Anybody? Sorry? Taqwa. Okay. What else? Good. To remember the poor. And what else? To get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Correct? These are usually the three most important things or the most common things that people say when you ask them, why do you fast? To get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remember the poor people who don't have the food, right? That's why we fast. And taqwa, to increase our taqwa. Now I ask you, if fasting is about remembering the poor people and those that are hungry, why is it that when we go shopping during Ramadan, we spend more money? Aren't we supposed to be decreasing the amount that we spend when we go shopping? We are remembering the poor people, those who have less than us. And when we go shopping, we see Kit Kat, oh, I want that. Pepsi, I gotta drink that tonight. Chips, Doritos, yep, buying that too. Ice cream, yes, late night snack. But during the rest of the year, when you go shopping, you see Kit Kat, not in the mood. Pepsi, I'm trying to cut down on Pepsi, too much sugar. Ice cream, it's too cold, don't feel like eating it. But during Ramadan, shaitan is like, in our minds we're thinking, subhanallah, I need that. I need this. I gotta have that at night. I can't have it during the day. So how are you remembering the poor people? How do we remember the poor when we're eating the things that are, pleasures and bounties that we don't normally have during the rest of the year? So we tend to spend more. I asked this question to my neighbor. I said, how's your grocery bill during the month of Ramadan? He's like, subhanallah, I don't understand. During Ramadan, my grocery bill is 3 times more than it is during the rest of the year. I said, really? He goes, yeah, at least 3 times more. So subhanallah, mine is the same thing. And it's like that for most of us. And this is because we say that we fast to remember the poor, but we're not actually remembering the poor. We think of them when we're fasting, when we're hungry, like now, at this point in time, I could really use some water. So I'm thinking of those poor people in countries, other countries around the world who don't have water to drink. They don't even have water to drink all year. Forget about Ramadan. All year they don't have water to drink. But as soon as iftar time comes along and you give me a nice glass of room temperature, I don't drink ice water, room temperature water, I forgot the poor people. SubhanAllah. So we need to turn the cruise control off and start to think. Does your income raise during Ramadan or decrease? Do you get more money during Ramadan or not? We don't get more money. Why should we be paid more during Ramadan or not? So why are we spending more money during Ramadan at restaurants and at grocery stores if our salary stays the same? Why are we spending more money? Why are we eating more? Why are we remembering people when we're hungry but not when we're full? We have to ask ourselves these questions. If you go to a restaurant during Ramadan, the buffet. Buffet is something which is famous during Ramadan, especially in Muslim countries. Iftar time, people don't even come to the masjid to pray Maghrib and then go to the buffet. No, they have the buffet, then they come and they pray. And this is wrong. We should do the opposite. We should go to Allah first and then fill our stomachs. Okay, so try and think of these things. The second thing that, we mentioned, we fast to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Really, are we getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We look at the masajid during the month of Ramadan, right, at Fajr time. More people come at Fajr during Ramadan, correct? We could say more people come at Fajr time because people wake up for suhoor, right? They eat food. And sadly, we get up very easily to eat food in the morning at 5 o'clock. But throughout the other 11 months of the year, it's time for Fajr, and I'm like, hit the snooze button, I have another 10 minutes. So we take our time for Fajr. But for food, we're awake. So our masajid during Ramadan are full. Fajr, we see people, more people than the rest of the year. Isha, packed. Maghrib, we have to eat, so we're there. Right? Taraweeh, we're in the masjid. What happens on the day after Eid? Where's everybody? In the restaurants? Chilling out with their friends? Studying? Working? Are we closer to Allah? We said that we fast during the month of Ramadan to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Ramadan is over, are we really closer to Allah? No, we're not closer to Allah. The point of Ramadan is to try and train ourselves so that the rest of the year we are doing what we did during the month of Ramadan. And we'll mention this later on, that it was the sunnah of the companions. It was the habit, the tradition of the companions, that they would use Ramadan to train themselves to be steadfast. Not skyrocket in a'mal and then fall at the end of Ramadan. No. Train yourselves to be steady, to continue and do these things throughout the rest of the year. So we have to ask ourselves, are we really getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The third reason we mentioned that we fast is for taqwa. What is taqwa? What is taqwa? A lot of you are Arab. You speak Arabic. You know what taqwa is. I want you to explain to me what is taqwa. Even if you just do it in one word. To fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. MashaAllah. Good. That is the book definition. Are we all living according to that? Most of us, when we hear the word taqwa, it means fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear His punishment, fear the day of judgment. Right? This is something which is common. And I ask this question to children as well as to adults. What is taqwa? And a lot of the time we come up with fear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that we acquire taqwa. But does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want us to fast and live Ramadan and do all these actions and ibadah and so on to be scared of Him? Why should we be scared of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Think back when you were young and you did something naughty, you did something bad during the day, and your mother saw you and she said, wait till your dad comes home. And your father comes home from work and you run to your room. Why do you run to your room? Because you're scared. Your father came home. You know what you did during the day. You broke one of the windows or something. You damaged someone's car, whatever it may be. So your mother goes to your father and says, your son, your daughter, this is what happened today. Blah, 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 blah. Your father's furious. What did he do? I know nowadays, because of laws and stuff like that, most parents don't beat their children, but when we were younger, what happened? Father takes his belt off, goes and gets a stick. Come, I'm going to fix you now. Look what you did. Come, your mom told me. You're scared of your father, right? In that situation, do you come and sit next to your father and say yes? You're scared of your father. You have taqwa of your father, right? Are you scared of your father and come and you sit next to him? No, you run the other way. You go to your room, you lock the door. You go to the bathroom, lock the bathroom door. Pull the shower curtain closed and hide. You're scared of your father. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want you to be scared of Him so that you run the other way and lock the door and hide from Him? No. Taqwa is not to be scared of Allah. It is to live as though you are in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. You're connected to Allah. You walk, you're thinking of Allah. You look, you're thinking of Allah. You speak, you're thinking of Allah. You're writing something, you're thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single thing that you do. You click Facebook, you're thinking of Allah. Everything is a connection with Allah. Taqwa. Not fear. Allah doesn't want you to be scared of Him. He wants you to know that you need to be close to Him. And if you do something wrong, there's a punishment. Be careful of that punishment. But don't think of the punishment. Think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you think of Allah, you get closer to Allah. When you think of the punishment, you get closer to the punishment. So these are three very important things that I wanted to mention about fasting during Ramadan. Remembering the poor and the hungry people. Really turn your cruise control off and think of those people. Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only during Ramadan, after Ramadan as well. Taqwa, don't be scared of Allah. Be close to Allah, and then you'll have nothing to be scared of. Insha'Allah ta'ala. Have you evaluated yourself during this Ramadan? Have you sat down at night and wrote down what you did during the day? Evaluation. Sometimes we do, I do a lecture somewhere and people, they hand out evaluation sheet. How was the speaker? Did you like his tone? Was his English clear? Did he crack a few jokes? Did he keep you interested? Was he, proper in his method of delivering the speech? Evaluate the speaker. You ever evaluate yourself? You ever turn back to yourself in the evening and evaluate your day? I woke up at this time. Was that the correct time to wake up? What did I do once I woke up? Did I untie the 3 knots? Did I go make wudu? Did I recite the dua? Did I go pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Did I have suhoor on time? Was I conscious of every single thing that I did in my day or not? Did I park my car in a place where it's okay to park or not? Did I break the speed limit or not? All of these things, evaluate yourself. Be the best person that you can be inside and outside of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ said that from Ramadan to Ramadan is forgiveness, right? It is forgiveness from Ramadan to Ramadan. You fast this Ramadan, you fast that Ramadan, what comes in between, you do your amal and so on, and it is forgiveness. Are we really working to our capabilities so that we achieve forgiveness? Have I done what it takes to be forgiven? Is Allah happy with what I'm doing during the month of Ramadan so that He can forgive me or not? Ask ourselves these things. The Prophet ﷺ said to beware that your day in Ramadan doesn't end in hunger and thirst. What does that mean? What does it mean that your day doesn't end in just hunger and thirst? This means that you evaluate yourself. So you know what you are doing during the entire day. Every step of the day, every single thing that you do, you're conscious, you're aware, you're watching yourself, not others. Stop pointing fingers at others. Look at yourself internally. What are you thinking? What are you wanting to do? What are your desires? What do you want to do right now? Do you really want to be sitting here where it's hot, humid, no air conditioning, listening to this guy who just came here and he thinks he's speaking all fancy English and just entertaining us? Do you really want to be here? Ask yourself. If not, correct your intention. Do whatever you do to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take one thing from what we say and implement that in your day, insha'Allah ta'ala. Why is it that we have Eid at the end of Ramadan? What is the purpose of Eid? What do we do on Eid? Most of us, we just get up in the morning and it's just, yes, chow down, food. I'm going to go pray salah. After salah, I'm meeting the guys. We're going to go to the restaurant. We're going to eat. Dhuhr. We could pray Dhuhr somewhere, wherever we are, maybe at our house or something like that later on. We got to go and have coffee. Then we're going to go Baskin Robbins. We're going to eat this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Meet family and friends. That's what Eid is all about, right? That's what most of us do during Eid, for example. But the funny thing is that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to feel sad when the end of Ramadan came. They used to feel very sad. Ramadan is leaving. It's a time where, we're going to lose all these extra benefits and bounties and blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they would feel sad and cry. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that this Eid is something which brings happiness to those who are feeling sad for the end of Ramadan. So are we sad that Ramadan is leaving and we have Eid to help us feel happy? Or are we saying, Alhamdulillah, Ramadan is over, man. Yes, it's Eid. I can eat anything that I want to eat. No. Correct our intentions. It's so simple. We just have to think of what we want to do to please Allah. Change our intentions and the reward is there from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So try and remember the life of the companions, how the Prophet ﷺ lived with those that were around him. They used to make dua for 6 months after the month of Ramadan. Oh Allah, please accept our a'mal, accept our actions, accept our deeds, accept from us what we did during this month of Ramadan. And for the next 5 months after that, they would make dua. Oh Allah, please allow us to reach Ramadan again. Please allow us to reach Ramadan. We are here sitting 2012 during the month of Ramadan. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ would cry to be in our shoes so that they can reach another Ramadan. It's 2012. We are during the month of Ramadan. Are we doing what those companions wanted from Ramadan? Are we pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? Ask yourselves. My whole lecture for the next until the end is all about asking yourself. Ask yourself. Evaluate yourself. You know, during the week, I'll tell you a story because I don't want to bore you. During the week, about 2 or 3 days ago, you know, in Malaysia and Canada, everybody has your oven and your stove is electric, but in Malaysia it runs on gas, right? So when your gas runs out, you need to go and get another gas tank and connect it to your oven or stove. So I have a backup tank, because sometimes I'm away and my wife runs out of gas, so there's an extra tank in the house. She can just do it. Doesn't have to call me. So I delayed to get this backup tank for maybe 4 months now. And alhamdulillah, a few days ago I saw the gas guy. He was just driving this truck. Usually I go and get it, but he came. I said, SubhanAllah, this is from Allah. The tank is there. The gas guy is there. Let me just go and get it. But from my place, where I live, my apartment is in LG2. So I have to go down about 6 flights of stairs to get to my apartment. Okay, so the gas guy is all the way upstairs on the top, up the hill. So I see him. I say, you know what, I'm going to go get my tank and come back. He says, no problem. I bring the empty tank. I give it to him. He looks at me, he says, so how are you going to bring the tank down? The first thing that clicked in my mind is, you know, this is a Chinese person, non-Muslim. I can tell certain things. He's not Muslim, he's not fasting. He should be the one carrying it. I'm fasting. You know, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I'm fasting. It's hot. Malaysia's hot. I love winter. I'm from Canada. I love the snow. So I'm thinking, well, you know, he should carry it. He can go drink water after. I can't, right? But it was at that moment where I realized I did the wrong thing in my mind. I actually did carry the tank myself. But that was after I corrected myself and thought, no, just because it's Ramadan doesn't mean that I can make an excuse for myself. Why do we as Muslims make excuses for ourselves that, oh, it's hot out, I'm thirsty, someone else is not fasting, they should do the hard work, and I get to relax. They get to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I get to sleep until 12 o'clock noon. Why? Why do we make the excuse for ourselves? We should be the example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this fasting so that we can acquire taqwa, we can be stronger, we can be better. We go out there and we show people, I'm fasting, look at me. I'm doing this for the sake of Allah, and look at me. I'm better than everybody else around. I'm stronger than everybody else around. And I'm going to carry my own gas tank that's full and go up 6 flights of stairs. You know, so this is the way we need to be thinking. That it's Ramadan. Don't make an excuse for yourself. Make an excuse for your nafs. And tell your nafs, yeah, you know what? Something's wrong with you. But I'm going to do what I want to do. Okay? That's the way we need to be thinking, inshaAllah. Fasting should affect us because it is not just refraining from food. It is to perfect our entire day and to remain away from backbiting, remain away from stealing, cheating, injustices, and so on. So it is not staying away from food. It is staying away from anything that is not right, not correct. Stuff that we need to refrain from. Be careful from those things. It is not just remembering the poor. And a lot of the time, like I said, when we ask people about Ramadan, what is fasting? Why do we fast? None of us says to stay away from backbiting, to stay away from picking a fight with our friends, you know, to stay away from arguments, to stay away from injustices, to remember, oh, I'm speeding, but I'm fasting, subhanallah, big mistake, slow down. You know, all of these things we have to remember and try and continue this during Ramadan. Like I said, Ramadan trains us for the rest of the year. So we try and Remember this after Ramadan as well for the rest of the year. If people look at you and say that you are different during Ramadan than you are during the rest of the year, you're doing something wrong. Most of us think we're doing something right because it's Ramadan. We need to show people Ramadan is special, something better. You're wrong. You're doing something wrong. People should not look at you and say you are doing something different during this month, and all the other months you're a different person. But during this month something happened. What's up, man? What's going on? No. During Ramadan, you should try and make yourself more consistent so that during the rest of the year the consistency remains and people don't see this drastic up and down change in your behavior. Make yourself consistent. If during the year you know you're weak, try and strengthen that weakness during Ramadan. Don't try and be Abu Bakr during Ramadan. Don't try and be Umar radiallahu an. Don't try and stand all night long when you know you're just going to get tired and get discouraged and not want to do it anymore. If praying 2 rak'ah during Taraweeh is what it's going to take to allow you to do that throughout the rest of the year during the night, that is better than praying 20 rak'ah every single night during Ramadan, and from the end of Ramadan until the next Ramadan, you never pray 2 rak'ah during the night. Correct? Being consistent. The hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. The best actions, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best actions are those that are done consistently, even if they are small actions. Small a'mal. But you do them consistently. Train yourself. Pray 2 rak'ah and say, no, you know what? I'm going to pray, instead of 8, I'm going to pray 4 or just 2 because, I'll train myself inshaAllah. Make sure that you pray those 2 rak'ah the rest of the year. Don't say, khalas, Daood came and said I can pray 2, no big deal, I'm going to go home. No. You're just doing something wrong. You're making excuses for yourself. And this is what we do as Muslims. We make excuses for ourselves all the time. We point the finger at others. You, look at you, what are you doing? You did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. What about yourself? What have you done? Someone did something and along the way, while doing this type of ibadah, maybe they made a mistake. Alhamdulillah, that person is doing that ibadah. I give you an example of a sister I saw. Subhanallah, I say she's a sister in Islam, but when you look at her the first time, and I have no idea who this person is. I was in Pavilion Shopping Mall once. I've been there maybe 4 times. And I went to the Musalla, the Surau, in Pavilion Mall with my wife. She went inside to pray after me, and I was outside waiting with the stroller, the baby stroller. So I'm standing there, and I see this lady. I don't know if you've been to the Surau in Pavilion Mall, but you have to go down this hallway, and it's like a maze. And only a Muslim would go down there, because there's nothing at the end of the hall except the Surau. So only a Muslim is walking there. So I'm standing there in the hallway, closer to the Musalla, and I have the baby stroller with me. And I see this lady, she comes. She's wearing a really, really short skirt. And a top that's revealing, I was like, where's this lady going? And she walks straight and goes into the ladies section of the Surau, of the Musalla. I was like, subhanallah. This sister, she's a sister in Islam. Allah knows what her condition is. Most of us would point the finger and say, astaghfirullah, look at how she's dressed. We can see most of her legs. Maybe if she sits down, we can see more than her legs. If she bends over, we can see inside her shirt. And I'm only not exaggerating, but I'm only giving you the details. I'm not exaggerating. I'm seriously giving you the actual details. And my wife saw this sister. She saw her. And I was like, subhanallah. Most of us would point our finger and say, look at her, look at this, why is she doing this, blah, 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 blah. None of us would look at the fact that she's coming to pray her salah. Maybe she's in a situation in her life where she just became Muslim 1 week ago. She doesn't even know how to pray. Maybe. And she's coming to the masjid not even to actually pray salah, fully with all the adhkar and reciting the surah and everything. Maybe she's coming just to put on the clothing and feel like, I'm a Muslim. I'm going to dress like a Muslim sister dresses and stand and just do the actions of salah so she feels comfort in her heart. So we're so quick to point the finger at others, and during Ramadan we have to try and control this, insha'Allah ta'ala. So if people see you as a different person during Ramadan, be careful. Try and be more consistent in the way that you do things throughout the rest of the year. Try and excel and perfect the small and the few actions of ibadah that you are already doing throughout the year. Try and perfect those during Ramadan, so that during the year, those remain perfect and constant and consistent, and you can add to it. You add a few extra sunnah here and there. You try and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a few more a'mal, and you go ahead with that, insha'Allah ta'ala. When was the last time you invited someone to your place for iftar? You know, we say we're trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want the reward of feeding someone who is fasting, so that you can get your reward and you don't diminish from their reward as well by feeding them to break their fast. When was the last time we invited someone for iftar? Just for a date. Buy, 1 ringgit of milk. If you know your friend likes milk, because I don't like milk, so don't give me milk. Buy them water, give them a date, just to break their fast. That's all it takes. Even if you're sitting in the masjid and iftar, you have, I don't know how iftar works here, we're going to see that inshallah. And you have, dates in front of you. Take a date and give it to the person in front of you, and he will do the same thing. He will say, no, I want you to get the reward as well. I don't want you to be the only one getting the reward. I want to get it as well. And so you have 2 dates, you give a date, you take a date. You're still eating 1 date. That person's eating 1 date. You still have your water, they have their water, but you got your reward of fasting and their reward. And they got their reward and your reward. So you doubled up. And you still broke your fast the exact same way with a date. It's just that easy. It's so easy, but we don't look at it that way. We don't take advantage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put these, you want extra virtues. You committed sins during the year. You want to purify yourself here. It's easy. Take a date. Give a date. But we don't remember these things. Try and remember the small things as the Prophet ﷺ, and be consistent in them. Search for extra rewards. As Muslims, I'm going to come to an end soon. As Muslims, we tend to be good in theory. We all know the things that I'm saying. We all know them. Nothing that I told you is new. But it is just a reminder. Because we as Muslims, we're awesome in theory. But when it comes to practice, we forget. We look at others, the sister, why you dressed like this? Why are you wearing that? What are you doing? This and that. But in practice, are we doing the same? If we were in the position of others, would we be doing what they are doing or not? So don't be Muslims of theory. Be Muslims of theory and practicality. Implement the knowledge that you know, even if it is just a little bit. And you will see, you will feel that you succeed in life and you excel in everything that you do. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a unique person and an example for all of mankind. Through what? Through his actions. He didn't come like Imam al-Nawawi, Imam al-Bukhari, and come with books and write and fill up the entire library, books and books and books. No. Books were written about his actions. Books were written, libraries full around the entire globe. Libraries, Islamic libraries, books after books and volumes containing the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through his words, through his actions. Actions, very important in Islam. But we forget the actions. We look at the theory. A lot of the time we ask each other, when was the last time you read an Islamic book? We're busy with theory, we're busy with our courses, doing whatever, engineering, electronics, mechanics, whatever it may be, getting a doctorate degree, A lot of the time we ask each other, when was the last time you picked up an Islamic book? Picking up an Islamic book, good. Are you going to implement what you read in that Islamic book? Before you pick up the book, are you implementing what you already know? Are you implementing what you already know? If not, then it's time to start thinking. It's time to hit the off button on our cruise control, inshaAllah. One of the ways that you can know if your Ramadan is accepted is by looking at how you are after Ramadan. And this is the advice of the Prophet ﷺ to his companions. If you want to know how your Ramadan was, look at how you are after Ramadan. So look at how you are on the second day after Eid, and you'll know how your Ramadan was. Right? Look at how you are after Ramadan. We all need to do this, and we all should be encouraging ourselves. All of this is to encourage ourselves, each other. We help each other. We're all Muslim brothers, all Muslim sisters. We help each other, insha'Allah ta'ala. Lastly, don't judge the next person that is beside you. And I mentioned this about the sister in Pavilion Mall. But one thing that you have to know is that we don't judge each other. You don't know, and I don't know. Someone sitting in front of us, in front of me right now, could be much more knowledgeable. I'm sure most of you, all of you are more knowledgeable than me. Really, the amount of knowledge, if you knew how much knowledge I have, it's like nothing. But you're sitting here listening to me. And we don't know who's sitting in front of us. But we only ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with whatever little knowledge that we have to help ourselves and benefit the rest of the ummah. But never judge the person that is sitting next to you. A lot of the time we point the finger. This brother doesn't have a beard. That brother's doing this. He's smoking. He's doing that. Okay. But don't judge him. And I'll give you an example. Today I'm sitting in front of you as Shaykh Ibrahim. All of you know we studied together. I told all of you we studied together. We were in Medina together. We graduated from Medina together. A few days ago we were standing together as well in another university. And brothers were coming up to me and giving me salam. Assalamu alaikum Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. كيف حالك شيخ بارك طيبين والله كويس. Right? Giving me salam. People may know who I am now recently. I started teaching for Al-Kawthar Institute. So people know a little bit more about me. Facebook. Maybe I'm a little more active on Facebook. So people know me just because they see me. They know who I am just by, the outer part of me. This is what they see. But nobody sees the inside of me. Nobody knows what's in my heart. Nobody knows what's in my mind. Nobody knows how much knowledge I have, how much taqwa I have. Nobody knows. But people come up to me and give me salam, and they were ignoring. I'm saying this in front of Ibrahim. I don't want to do that, but I have to say it. It's an example for all of us. They were ignoring to give salam to Ibrahim. Shaykh Ibrahim. Sorry, he calls me Daood, I call him Ibrahim. But to you, he's Shaykh Ibrahim. So people were coming and giving me salam. Maybe they know me from Facebook. They know me through Al-Kawthar Institute or Mercy Mission. So they're like, MashaAllah, Shaykh Dawood's there. Give him salam. And they don't give salam to Ibrahim. Little do they know that Shaykh Ibrahim's GPA in Medina was higher than mine. His GPA, his grade point average, was higher than mine. But they look at me, that's the guy from Facebook. That's the instructor for Al-Kawthar. We know him, so they give me salam. And they don't even give him salam. Muslims, wake up. I'll give you an example of Sheikh Bashir. The man by the name of Sheikh Bashir. He lived in Toronto. There was a group of responsible brothers from some of the main masajid of Toronto in Canada. They went to Medina, to the Islamic University. This was decades ago. And they went to the mudir, they went to some of the ulama, and some of the kibar ulama. And they said, you know what, we don't have a proper imam in Toronto. Send someone to us. Give us someone, some student, someone who graduates from the Islamic University of Medina, send him to Toronto. We need someone good. So they said, we heard of someone in Toronto by the name of Bashir. And they're like, who is he? Is he a graduate from Medina? No, but his name is Bashir. We heard of him. He memorized Kutub al-Sitta in his country. Traditional studies. No Islamic university degree. Traditional studies. Memorize Bukhari, memorize Muslim, Hafidh of the Quran, scholar, real scholar. No public face, no public figure. So they're like, we heard of this man named Bashir. He lives in Toronto. We heard of him. Some of the brothers who know him from his country, you ask them, they will tell you who he is. They will show you. So they went back after Hajj or Umrah, they went back to Canada and they started asking that community, the ethnic community, those brothers, they said, where's this brother named Bashir? Who is he? Where is he? So they said, oh, you can find him at so-and-so place. Gave him the address. They went to the address of his work. When they showed up there, it was a gas station. You know, we have self-service gas stations, and in North America we have a lot of full service. Full service means you drive up to the gas pump, you just tell the guy full tank, he fills up your tank for you, and you give him the money, you give him a 1 ringgit tip if you want, or usually 25-cent tip, 50 cents. Sheikh Bashir, Hafidh al-Kutub al-Sitta, Hafidh of the Quran, is pumping gas into your car and my car. And he's working in the gas station. Nobody knew he's a sheikh. But everyone would come and be like, this miskeen guy, fill up my tank, man, hurry up. Treat the person with disrespect. So you never know who's sitting next to you. You could be sitting next to the next scholar of Islam. You could be sitting next to the person who's going to find a cure for cancer. You could be sitting next to, a future president or prime minister of a country who's a friend of yours now, and in the future you'll benefit from, going and seeing them and being treated nicely like royalty. Don't underestimate the people who are sitting next to you. Treat your Muslim brothers and sisters as though they are much better than you. Treat each other with respect, insha'Allah ta'ala. That is what I wanted to end with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. And I hope insha'Allah today, this short reminder with very practical points, to me they seem practical, can remind all of us about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, evaluate ourselves, and insha'Allah make our hearts تطمئن القلوب, tranquil and peaceful, and insha'Allah ta'ala closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with real taqwa and not the I'm going to punish you taqwa. Insha'Allah ta'ala wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.